Do you watch anime?
The 7 Deadly Sins is Sakamotodays character. This may be my last 7 Deadly Sins video, but I had to do this one because today we're covering one of the animes I absolutely glaze. This manga is one of the craziest characters I've ever seen, and I even believe that the last character will redefine a part of the anime and manga community. But let's start off with the character that perfectly represents the sin, Gluttony. Gluttony is described as the consumption to the point of waste, especially when it comes to food or drinks. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kinda hard to find a character that fits this description. It's Sakamoto. Sakamoto is overweight because of eating way too much food for no reason. He does it because he can, and his gluttonous behavior has come to the point that he can slim down in seconds and gain his weight back in one day. Who the fuck can do that? His excessive eating doesn't just add to his weight, it also reduces his full potential. Because in chapter 44, Granny Mia told Sakamoto that his fitness level was only 30% of what it used to be. She stated that it was because of his 5-year hiatus as an assassin. But we know what's up. She just didn't want to get cancelled. It's harder to move around when you got a lot of weight to carry. Have you ever seen those big bodybuilders run? Exactly. They look like absolute buffoons.
Come back every time, baby. I'm a
Let alone a fat ass nigga. Sakamoto is him though. That's why he's able to move like that, even with a lot of weight. But slimming down does make him a little faster, because that's what he did when fighting his foes in the past, and even now. With his recent fight against Torres, he slimmed down in order to increase his chances of winning. Oh, and speaking of Torres, that's one greedy ass mother.
Yo, language, bro.
I just don't like that homeless looking ass.
Okay, how about you cool down and I take it over from here?
I bet. I'm gonna let my boy Scruple take it over for a minute.
Greed is the desire or wanting more of something, such as food, money, or power, and not caring if it hurts others to get it. And Torres is the perfect fit for this one. Although we know almost nothing of him, his greedy nature came to the surface very quickly. Torres is a man who thinks only of himself. He does what he wants and in the way he wants without ever thinking of others. He isn't afraid to bother people like Shishiba, who he casually asks for a bunch of yen to gamble. Mind you, he didn't even know Shishiba at that point. Or when he asked Sakamoto to kill more people so his bounty would go up, so Torres could then kill Sakamoto and get a lot of money. Torres has also shown to prefer to do things in his own way, even if it crosses the law. In chapter 170, he wanted to abduct Sakamoto's wife because Sakamoto is a wanted person by the JAA, and use her as bait to attract Sakamoto. The order leader told Torres that this was illegal, but Torres didn't really care and actually tried to pull his plan off. There are a lot more instances of Torres being greedy and not caring about others, and I believe that a lot more is to come since his battle with Heisuke is just about to start. And speaking of Heisuke, I don't know if he'll be able to match up with Torres because Heisuke may be the most slothful person in Sakamoto days. Sloth is the lack of spiritual and physical effort. We all know something we're not good at, whether it be football, drawing, or doing backflips. But if you really want it and give yourself enough time to practice, it would be impossible to not improve, even if it's just by a little. So Heisuke being bad at assassin stuff and him having a sad backstory because of that is literally all on him. Heisuke did not give himself enough time to improve as an overall assassin. Instead, he just found something he was naturally good at, which is sniping, and focused all of his time on that. Focusing on your strong points is not a bad thing. Sakamoto is good at using objects as weapons in a creative way. Shin can read people's minds and even go beyond that with his powers, but they're also good at hand-to-hand combat or shooting. Heisuke has only focused on sniping and has spent no time improving other areas. This has made him a phenomenal sniper, but without a sniper, he's just a professional pedestrian. Heisuke is not only slothful in his way of living, I mean this guy is like literally homeless, but mentally as well. It has been shown many times that Heisuke is too simple-minded and thinks literally like a toddler even though he's 21 years old. But even with all of his flaws, Heisuke has stolen our heart with his amazing character, which cannot be said about the character that perfectly represents the sin of pride. Pride is the excessive love of yourself. This is a person who thinks more of oneself. And the character that perfectly represents the sin of pride is Asaki. Asaki is a quiet, yet manipulative and egocentric man that will stop at nothing to get what he wants. But you can just see that when he views himself as a god or higher being than others. He believed that he deserved the chairman position of the JAA, and thus created a whole plan to kill the current chairman and take over the throne. A character that does not view himself higher than others or even less represents the sin of lust. But this character is way too weird for me to explain, so it's back to you, Temboy.
Oh, how nice of you. This bitch! Lust is described as a disordinate desire for enjoyment of sexual pleasure, and the character that perfectly represents this sin is none other than Club Jam. But he doesn't represent it in the way you think. He hasn't shown any sexual desires, but he has shown extreme desires of feeling pain and wanting to die a painful death. Let's take this situation for example. He suggested that Kanaguri should brutally torture him and hold his breath till unconsciousness, and hypnotizing people to step on him and whip This nigga's skinky as hell. We have no idea what type of mental illness Club Jam has or what his reason is for pursuing pain or death, but since he hasn't died yet, maybe we'll find out in the future. And while we'll wait for that, let's move on to the character that also has a mysterious background. And that character also perfectly represents the sin Envy. Envy is described as a feeling of wanting something someone else has. And the character that perfectly represents this sin is Tenkyu. Tenkyu has recently been introduced in one of the latest Sakamoto Days chapters. We learn pretty fast that he is a simple-minded, reckless, and savage guy. Since we meet him naked at first, kills his opponent without second thought and really seems to enjoy killing. To the naked eye, this is also how he comes over, just reckless and finding pleasure in killing. But the deeper we dig, the more apparent it seems that something is bothering Tenkyu. Because when Tenkyu sees the friendship Shin and Heisuke share, do we see his envious behavior kick in. At first he's gentle, but over time, he gets more aggressive. And as a reader, you know this is not the way of making friends. But Tenkyu never got to learn this, because he truly doesn't know how to make friends. He wasn't made for that. Why, you ask? As a kid at the orphanage, Tenkyu has been trained to become an emotionless human weapon. And from all of his friends, he was the only success. This really bothers him, since he really wants to have good relationships with people. But because he was made into a human weapon, he has trouble doing that. Nobody wants to be around a person who can't act like a decent person. Tenkyu's last hope was to find a fortune teller. He or she should tell him how he can restore his relationship with his friends. But even the fortune teller told him that he is cooked. And what did he do? He started choking out the fortune teller. What's up with the Sakamoto Days characters and choking people out? Tenkyu has shown to have the desire to have a friendship. This means that there's still a little bit of hope for him, because the next character is also a human weapon, but he has no desire for human relation at all. People call him the assassin with no brakes, the strongest of the verse, and I call him the old hat with the most aura. I'm talking about old man Takamura, and he perfectly represents the sin Wrath. Wrath is described as a strong feeling of hatred or resentment with a desire of vengeance. And this man is straight up hate and bitterness, I'm telling you. And that became obvious when he spoke for the first time and said, "This world is full of nothing but scum who do not deserve to live." No words can describe how I felt when he finally said his first words in the series. Because this man has been walking around with his katana, mumbling words nobody can understand. At first I thought he has seen some crazy stuff, but this man was always holding in his anger. The first moment we see him, he sliced off a part of a car and a part of a highway just to kill a freaking fly. This man hates life itself. I don't know what it is with this guy, but I truly believe he will reshape part of anime and manga community, especially the swordmanship. It's just something about an old man not talking a lot, but displaying everything with his actions. I'm really curious to know where all of his anger and agony comes from. I guess we'll never know since he died.
Damn.